the Federal High Court of Nigeria recently issued practice direction as part of efforts to resolve tax-related issues regarding the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The document, signed by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, came into effect on the 1st of June. And to make sense of how this document will support the expeditious resolution of tax disputes in Nigeria, I have joining me the co-regional managing partner for Africa at Andersen, Olaleye Adebiyi. Thank you so much for your time, sir. All right, I want to first of all get your thoughts about how does this court direction impact the taxpayer? What exactly is at play here?
Thank you so much, Wale. Good afternoon, everyone. The practice direction was issued by as you mentioned, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to kind of ease tax dispute, make it faster in such a way that they eliminate some processes that FRS will need to take to apply to the court to enforce tax payment. So in such a way that they can accelerate the process and in the same way get tax liabilities settled much quickly. But this will impact a loss on the rest of taxpayers in the process that have been taken. Yeah.
But can we be more specific? What does this mean for the taxpayer in terms of how the FIRs will be engaging the taxpayer to resolve these issues?
Okay, I think what we need to look at the directive in like I said, in three broad categories. When can FRS apply? How can it apply? And I would say what I would call the implication for the taxpayer, which is actually significant. So under our current system, when FRA issue an assessment, you have a right to object to it or actually file an appeal at the tax appeal tribunal to challenge the assessment. So at that point, then the assessment goes ahead, then TAT decide, and when the decision is made, and that decision is due to be final. If you are not going to appeal to the higher court, Federal High Court, then you are meant to pay the tax within a certain time. But now, under this new practice direction, which the Federal High Court Chief Judge has a right to issue, Supreme Court has also heard that its practice direction is as valid as any existing law, but that the direction must be in line with the law is being issued. We all know that the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FRS, was not established under the Federal High Court Act, but there is a Federal Inland Revenue Establishment Act that established the FRS and has stated there's limits to the powers it can exercise. So but right now, under this practice direction, at any point, because it's not clear, FRS can decide to approach the court, either to have access to the account of the taxpayer or to actually file for distraint for the taxpayer asset based on tax owed. So the direction did not say this is the time to do it. It just says you can apply to the court anytime there's a dispute. Whether that is within the 30 days, rather when the taxpayer has the right of appeal, or after, we don't know. And that's where the issues are, where the clarification needs to be given. So under the law, FRS a tax is not deemed final and conclusive until the taxpayer has lost his right of appeal, objection, or until the TAT has ruled on whether the taxpayer is liable to pay or not.
Right. So if I can just jump in and ask this, so practically, because I do know that these disputes are quite frequent, especially with large corporations. Practically, how do you see this impacting how those disputes are resolved? Do you imagine, for example, that there will be some kind of pre-court proceeding agreement to move things forward quicker? Or do you imagine that the courts are now going to get even more busy given this direction?
Oh, well, the key issue, that issue was seeking clarification, because right now, FRS can decide to issue an assessment today, if, for example, it's a large amount, and approach the Federal High Court tomorrow for to distrain the taxpayer asset. The federation has not made it clear that the tax must be final and conclusive before FRS can push the court. So right now, when you have a tax dispute, we all go to tax appeal tribunal. But with this process, that it seems the tax appeal tribunal has now been abolished. You just go straight to the Federal High Court. It means the Federal High Court is going to get busier in the processes. Yes, quite.
Interesting point. Okay, so what has been happening behind the scenes in terms of this tax revenue drive in Nigeria? I think it was about a year or two ago, there was a lot of talk about the FIRS going into the banks and trying to assess the value of transactions in corporate accounts to find out those who are either not in the tax net or are not paying their fair share. We haven't heard much of that. Obviously, with the pandemic, there has been a bit of a focus more on other issues. But what's been happening behind the scenes?
Well, you are right, but it's actually behind the scenes. A lot have actually been happening. Right now, the FRA has access to various data for taxpayer. I mean, if you're BVN now, they can, at the point of a button, or the company's bank balances transaction is available to the FRS. So behind the scene, I think they are doing a lot. I mean, that they are collecting the data. I mean, the amount of data available to FRS now is huge. So you may not be hearing a lot about this, but it doesn't mean they are doing a lot. I mean, behind the scene to collect this data and then reach out to the company on sometime when they send you assessment, they know what you are going to bring, and I mean they are sure of information in their possession. So if you bring anything that is not in line,
and given that power, have you seen perhaps a change in corporate, behavior in terms of how they are more compliant to the tax rules in Nigeria?
If you actually notice that, you see that if you read FRS newsletter, they actually collected more taxes last year. So I'm sure because of this new direction and the fact that they know people are aware, they have information about their transaction, most of their transactions, people are more compliant. The tax revenue is actually going up. If you look, compare the 2019 figure to 2020, that's driving the tax revenue. And FRA is also doing a lot to reach out to taxpayers to be able to collect more taxes. So in a way, I think there's a link between that issue of access to data and the fact that people are now becoming more compliant with tax payment. But don't forget, Wale, the issue is that it's the same set of people. So we want FRS to be able to bring more people to the tax net, not just focus on those who have been paying all the time.
Right.
You should bring more people in. I mean, that's the way to widen the tax base. Yes.